Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Warriors urgently need roster improvements and Domantas Sabonis fits the Golden State team, despite defensive concerns. Sabonis averages 12.3 rebounds per game, instantly solving Golden State's biggest need. League executives acknowledge his defensive limitations as a center who doesn't block shots, but his playmaking, screen, and passing abilities in the paint make him a tactically perfect piece in Kerr's system. The Golden State Warriors are struggling from a low-post production standpoint this season. Signing Al Horford before the start of the regular season was designed to give the franchise frontcourt stability from the get-go. However, the experienced former Boston Celtics NBA champion center hasn't delivered the goods thus far, contributing only 5.8 points and 4.3 assists per game while shooting 34.3% from the field and 32% from three-point range. Luckily for the Dubs, exiting frontcourt purgatory could be a realistic possibility, as Sports Illustrated's Blake Silverman recently named Sacramento Kings star forward Domantas Sabonis as a potential trade suitor for the franchise. Another Western Conference basement dweller who could go all in on a rebuild, the Kings could deal their high-earning veterans to gain financial flexibility as they look ahead, Silverman wrote Thursday. Domantas Sabonis should return the most value on the trade market, although the major win would be clearing the $45+ million salary from Sacramento's books over the next 2 seasons. A potential Sabonis trade may have gotten more tricky with the news of his partially torn left meniscus, which will cause him to miss 3 to 4 weeks. Nevertheless, the 3-time All-Star and the NBA's rebounding leader in the past 3 seasons should garner interest during the trade season for a team looking to add a star. Potential trade suitors: Los Angeles Clippers, Golden State Warriors, Detroit Pistons. Sabonis is in a challenging spot 10 years into his NBA career. The Gonzaga product is Sacramento's most talented frontcourt option and will remain so as long as he's a member of the Kings organization. However, outside of an impressive 2023 postseason showing, the Kings took the Warriors to 7 games. Sabonis hasn't achieved much playoff success with the Kings since joining the franchise in 2022 and likely won't do so in the foreseeable future with Sacramento's current roster configuration. Although the Warriors organization isn't what it once was, there is no denying that acquiring Sabonis would not only give the multidimensional big man a chance to compete for a championship but also help lighten Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler's offensive load. The smooth 6'10" lefty is averaging 17.2 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 3.7 assists with the struggling 3-13 Kings this season. If the Dubs are truly growing weary of Horford's unreliable ways, they'll consider poaching Sabonis from the Kings sooner than later. Why Warriors should close games with this lineup to enhance Curry, Butler, Green. The Golden State Warriors have a depth issue. They have 6 players with a plus net rating, per cleaning the glass. Their other 8 players are in the negative, with Al Horford, -14.1, and Buddy Hield, -17.0, being the most disappointing of that bunch. Gary Payton too, -4.1, and Jonathan Kuminga, -6.6, have not been as destructive to their lineups, but they haven't had much positive team-wide impact a month into season. Is Steve Kerr overcomplicating this? The Warriors' best lineup might just be the one playing their 5 best players, the one that dominated down the stretch last year. Closing with Curry, Pods, Moody, Butler, Green. Last year, this lineup had a plus 17.9 net rating in a team-high 459 possessions. The Warriors went 18-4 in games it appeared in. Even though it's a smaller lineup, this quintet had a 51.2% rebounding rate, more than holding its own. It forced turnovers at an amazing rate, 96th percentile, and it shot the ball pretty well, 66th percentile in effective field goal percentage, showing that Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody provide enough shooting to support a lineup with Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. Against the Portland Trail Blazers on Friday, the Warriors essentially closed with a Curry Pods Payton Butler Green lineup, as it played from 3:46 to 49.9 left in the fourth quarter. The lineup entered the game down 4 and exited the game down 4. Would things have gone differently had Kerr played Moody over Payton? We'll never know, and I'm sure Kerr would argue that the bigger issue was the first 44 minutes that had the Warriors trailing by 4 to a shorthanded Blazers team coming off 4 straight losses. But it isn't clear why the Dubs have gone away from their best lineup from last year. Overall, the Pods and Moody closing with the 3 stars lineup has played just 23 possessions this season with a plus 25.9 net rating. Trusting the two-way impact of Moody and Pods. I acknowledge that Moody was not having his best game Friday, so one could argue playing Payton over him made sense. In theory, Payton can use his quicker feet to be more disruptive defending ball handlers, and Payton is more comfortable than Moody as a roller and paint finisher. But Moody is the better overall player, so it should be rare that he's sitting in clutch games. The one play that stands out is Payton getting caught stabbing at a Denny Avdija drive when the player he was guarding, Caleb Love, was just one pass away. Love made the 3 to extend Portland's lead to 4. Part of the value of Moody and Pods is they don't make many mistakes like this. They are where they are supposed to be, which allows Green to be at his best as the defensive conductor. They also space the floor well enough to give Curry and Butler more driving lanes. When Kuminga returns, the game-to-game closing lineup decision will be even tougher. Kerr will have to consider how well each player has played to that point and decide if the players with the hot hand should close with Curry, Butler and Green. But unless there's a compelling reason to do otherwise, I'm suggesting the default should be Curry, Pods, Moody, Butler and Green. The combination of Pods and Moody's three-point shooting and steady defense has proved to enhance the Curry-Butler-Green trio on both ends. It's past time to use the lineup that spearheaded Golden State's great finish to last season. Steph Curry and Steve Kerr split on what Warriors need to fix after poor loss to Blazers. Things are not going any better for the Golden State Warriors, and that is being pretty kind. There were plenty of reasons to think the Warriors would beat the Portland Trail Blazers in their latest NBA Cup match. Instead, they walked away with a frustrating 127-123 defeat to a side many expected them to handle. With a 9-9 record, the Warriors have now fallen to the 8th seed in the Western Conference. Stephen Curry was one of the few bright spots for the Warriors in the 4-point defeat, putting up 38 points along with 2 rebounds and 4 assists. Speaking to reporters after the game, the baby-faced assassin pointed to defensive lapses as a major factor in the loss. "Feel like we played well enough to win, but have nothing to show for it. Just some untimely defensive breakdowns led to some open threes down the stretch," he began by saying, by a 95.7 the game. "Just defensively together as a unit, didn't do good enough to give ourselves a chance down the stretch." Golden State's recurring issue with lackluster defense is now an urgent concern, especially following their recent string of 3 consecutive losses. Steve Kerr sees Golden State Warriors' struggles as more about offense than defense. In contrast to Curry's comments, Steve Kerr offered a different perspective after the loss. The Warriors coach pointed to the offense, not defense, as the bigger concern. Kerr, who has led the team to 4 NBA titles, explained that he believes the issues are showing up more at that end of the floor. He said, "I'm not worried about our defense. I'm more worried about our offense right now. Not a whole lot of rhythm. Not a lot of flow." Kerr is known for his movement-based system, but right now, it does not seem to be clicking in the way he needs it to. If they cannot sort it out soon, this could end up being a much tougher season than they expected. Warriors are learning brutal Draymond Green lesson they should have known all along. Cin 74. The Golden State Warriors made an impressive 4-1 start to the season last month, but in hindsight that might not have been overly sustainable given the inflated shooting numbers of veteran forward Draymond Green. The combination of Green, Jimmy Butler, and Jonathan Kuminga was working because the forward trio were proving legitimate threats from beyond the arc, yet the Warriors should have known all along that it wasn't going to continue in the same manner. Draymond Green is proving an offensive liability over recent games. Through his first 10 games of the season, Green shot 45% from three-point range and 47.6% from the floor overall. History suggests that wasn't going to last, Yet the brutal drop-off over Green's last 6 games is proving incredibly problematic to a Golden State offense that now ranks 23rd on the season as they've fallen back to a .500 record. During this period, Green has shot 29.3% from the floor and 23.3% from beyond the arc while actually increasing his field goal attempts by around 2 per game. Nothing signified Green's failed offensive aggression like the 2 recent games against the San Antonio Spurs where he regularly went at Victor Wembanyama without success, having shot a combined 4 of 22 and 0 of 11 from three-point range across those 2 meetings. The 35-year-old's offense, and in particular his three-point shooting, can come and go through different periods. He's usually been disrespected by opposing defenses from the perimeter over the years, yet the Warriors have still been able to build significant success despite this. Why? Largely because Green's been an excellent playmaker thanks to his chemistry with 2x MVP Stephen Curry, while he's also led what is often one of the best defenses in the league. The issue with Green's shooting right now is that both his playmaking and defense isn't as consistently great as what it's been in the past. The 4x All-Star is averaging 3.2 turnovers per game on the season and 3.7 in his last 6 games, well up on the 2.6 he averaged last season and the 2.3 on his career. Golden State have also fallen from having the number 1 defense in the league after last season's All-Star break, something Green will take personally and particularly after giving up 127 points in a shock loss to the Portland Trail Blazers on Friday. Green's offense is becoming a liability over recent games, but this shouldn't be a total surprise to the Warriors who now need to find a way of generating far more consistent scoring avenues rather than relying on their former Defensive Player of the Year to be hitting multiple jump shots every game. Warriors have already found their Buddy Hield replacement before even trading him. Buddy Hield is skating on thin ice at the Golden State Warriors, having failed to recapture his impressive playoff form from last season through the first 18 games of this campaign. Not only is the veteran sharpshooter falling towards the edge of the rotation, but he's also becoming an increasingly likely trade candidate with the Warriors holding an obvious direct replacement in mind already. Seth Curry could replace Buddy Hield before they even trade him. Golden State are now eligible to sign a 15th player to their roster after previously being ineligible to do so at the start of the season due to financial restrictions. It's presumed that spot will be for Seth Curry, who was part of the team's training camp roster, yet didn't play a single preseason minute before he was waived ahead of the regular season. The Warriors are clearly waiting to give themselves a little more flexibility under the second apron in case a further roster move is required. But Curry is already presenting as an obvious Hield replacement if they can involve the 32-year-old in a trade mid-season. Hield's numbers have plummeted so far this season, having averaged a career-low 6.9 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 1.5 assists while shooting a dismal 40.5% from the floor and 30.1% from three-point range. It's not just the dip in points or three-point percentage though. It's the fact that Hield isn't even being utilized that much in a Golden State offense that ranks just 23rd on the season as they've been pushed to a 9-9 record. His 6.2 field goal attempts per game are easily a career low, and so too his 4.1 three-point attempts. That would look even worse if you take out Hield's 20 field goal attempts, 15 from beyond the arc, in Wednesday's loss to the Miami Heat where the Warriors were without their 3 leading scorers in Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Jonathan Kuminga. Hield is averaging 6.9 points in 17.4 minutes per game, while Curry averaged 6.5 points in 15.6 minutes with the Charlotte Hornets last season. They're pretty similar numbers, except that Curry shot a career-high 45.6% from three-point range. This would suggest Curry can replace what Hield is currently giving Golden State. Many would argue the latter is more capable on the other end of the floor, but Hield has the second worst player defensive rating of anyone on the team, so it's not as if you'd be losing a whole lot. Even if Curry can't become a 15 to 20 minute per game rotation player, the development of Will Richard and the imminent return of DeAnthony Melton means the Warriors should absolutely be looking at including Hield and his $9.2 million salary in a midseason trade. Warriors' Jimmy Butler assigns blame after third straight loss. Jimmy Butler and the Golden State Warriors have not opened the 2025-26 NBA season the way they envisioned. After finishing last year on a strong 23-7 run following Butler's arrival from the Miami Heat at midseason, the expectation was that Golden State would build on that momentum and re-establish itself as a top contender in the Western Conference. Instead, the Warriors have stumbled to a 9-9 record and dropped their third straight game on Friday, raising concerns about their defensive consistency and overall identity. So far, the early results have yet to meet the team's ambitions for the new season. Golden State's latest setback came in a 127-123 loss to the Portland Trail Blazers, the second time this season the Warriors have fallen to Portland. Stephen Curry returned to the lineup with 38 points on 14 of 23 shooting and 9 of 17 from beyond the arc in 34 minutes, providing the offensive firepower the Warriors needed but couldn't capitalize on. Butler, who was also sidelined against Miami, added 20 points, continuing his steady production. But the defensive lapses proved too costly as Golden State was out-rebounded 52-32 and allowed 4 Blazers players to finish with at least 20 points. After the game, Butler was direct in his assessment of the team. "We're just not guarding nobody. From what I can tell, I haven't been here long, but that's never been the formula here," he told ESPN's Anthony Slater. "I'm always optimistic. But I'm also honest." Despite allowing about 120 points per game during the 3-game losing streak, the Warriors are actually 11th in the NBA in points per game allowed at 114.9. Statistically, the star power has been there for the Warriors at the top. Curry is averaging 28.6 points, 4.1 assists and 3.5 rebounds through 14 games, while Butler is contributing 20.1 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.8 assists across 16 appearances. Still, the Warriors sit 8th in the Western Conference, unable to convert individual production into consistent wins.